Caroline, calls from the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, calls for him to step down for saying that the attacks on Israel did not happen in a vacuum. Have a listen.
I think that the Secretary-General must resign, because from now on, every day that he is here in this building, unless he apologizes immediately, today we called him to apologize.
I might also say that just before we came to air was confirmation, and this is diabolical, that you've got Hezbollah, who is a terror group, and they operate in the north of Israel. They've met with all the Hamas terrorist officials. We obviously know they're Gaza, with officials from the other terror organisation, Islamic Jihad. So they've all met and caucused, and there's breaking news too that some of the people involved in the terror attacks in Israel now, almost 2 weeks ago, are trained in Iran. This can't be tolerated from the UN, can it, Caroline?
No, it can't. I mean, and Israel rightly is calling for this resignation and saying they won't let UN officials into the country if they don't apologise and take back these comments, which are deeply offensive. I mean, they give licence to the critics out there, the most fringe members of the anti-Israel crowd that say that these attacks were justified, or there could be any sort of justification or explanation for why they happened. The whole, yes, it's terrible that, over 1,000 Israelis got murdered in the most horrific way. But let's remember XYZ, there is no justification for a Hamas militant ripping out an unborn baby from a pregnant woman's stomach, beheading that baby, and then beheading the mother, which we have now learned from Israel authorities is one of the many, many abhorrent attacks that were carried out on October 7th. So to hear this from the Secretary-General of the United Nations, that this didn't happen in a vacuum, it just gives license and cover to these people who were trying to say that there is some excuse for what happened. We know the United Nations has a shocking record when it comes to its treatment of Israel, and that schools that it runs in Gaza actually radicalize Palestinian children to hate Jews, to glorify martyrdom, and to teach them that that Israel should belong to the Palestinians. So they have a lot of questions to answer for how they carried themselves in that region. And now, on top of this, all of that. But you're right, that meeting with the terrorist groups, deeply concerning, of course, and the news that was revealed by the Australian newspaper that around 500 Hamas militants and Palestinian militants were trained in Iran facilities as recently as September, just weeks before this attack, is deeply concerning and should shut up anyone who says this is just about Palestinian grievances. It's clearly not. This is something that's backed by Iran, that has Hezbollah all over it, also backed by Iran, the Lebanese militants. So this is so much bigger than just what the Palestinians think are their grievances as to how Israel has been treating them. It's so much bigger and more nuanced than that, but it's something that critics of Israel have to accept.
Beautifully and passionately expressed, Caroline Marcus. And I want to say too, when I have been in Ramallah, I have seen in and around UN areas those shrines, those monuments that the UN tolerates to the suicide bombers. So I back you in 100%. Trudy, great to have you on the show as always.